Okay, now we are on the next step, which is to build your Lightroom catalog with smart previews and import the images into there. So what you're going to do is make sure your hard drive is plugged in, your master hard drive where the client folder lives, and then you're going to click the Lightroom catalog to open, and you should see this window pop up. And it's just asking you, do you want to create a new catalog, or do you want to open one of these recent, or find a different catalog that you've created? So you're going to select this one, create new catalog, and then this box is going to pop up. It might look like this, which just means you need to expand. So you're going to click this down arrow. I like to just have it on this view at all times. And so this is asking you, where do you want to create a folder with the new catalog? What do you want to name it, and where do you want to put it? So we're going to name it as LR, which just stands for Lightroom. I just like to use that to know that within this folder is a Lightroom catalog. And then I put my client's name, and then we're going to find where we want to put it. So I actually like to save my Lightroom catalogs on the desktop of my computer in this folder called Memory Photography. And these are just some client Lightroom catalogs that I'm currently working on, editing still, or recently edited. And I'll tell you why I put them there in a second, but we are just going to select create once you name the folder and tell Lightroom where you want it to live. All right, so Lightroom's open, and we want to make sure that we are going to be in the library catalog. So up here you see the different, or module, you'll see the different modules. Just make sure you're in this one, library. And then down here in the bottom left, you should see the import button. You're going to select import, and you're going to find your photos. So remember, we want to import the client raw files, and we want this to say add instead of copy, move. There's different options. I just have it on add, and then we want to find the files. So my files are going to be here on this hard drive, which is plugged in right here. And then we're going to go to 2019, find Ronnie, and then we're going to find the raw folder. So once you click on the folder, all the images within the folder should start to load, and give it some time. It might take a second. This one had 659, and that sounds right to me. And then I want to just make sure they're all selected. So they don't need to all be highlighted, but they do need to have this little box checked, and you can use this little button down here to just uncheck all and then check all. Hopefully, if you follow this system, it's easy. You don't have any other pictures in this folder except Ronnie's raw files, and that makes it really easy because you can just check all. Make sure you have new photos selected instead of all photos up here. And then over on the right side, you just want to make sure it looks like this. So you're going to first thing is build previews, smart previews, which we do want to do. And it's asking you what size you want to build. So 1:1 is going to be the largest size. It's going to load the fastest and it's going to have the most detail of the photo when you zoom in for the smart previews. But I actually like to use this one. It's a smaller file size, so it takes less time to build the smart previews, and it just loads the photos faster when you're editing. And because I don't do a ton of like little retouching in Lightroom, that seems to work okay. It's not as clear resolution when you zoom in to say like the client's eyeball as doing the 1:1, but they're a lot smaller file sizes, so it just works for me to do that one. And then I'm going to check build smart previews, and then don't import duplicates. Obviously, if there are any, there shouldn't be, but you can have that checked. And then you're just going to say import down in the bottom right, and then you just wait, and then they're going to start to import. It's going to take a little while because what it's doing is building smart previews, and that's going to allow us to be able to work on the photos anywhere. So once the smart previews are built, and this one over here finishes, So you just want to wait, and this is going to take a little while. It could take up to like an hour because it's 650 photos and it's building the smart preview. So I'm just going to let it do its thing and work on something else right now and try to resist the urge to go edit the photos. I just feel like it's easy to, something could happen if you're doing that. Also, like if you start editing the photos now before the smart previews are built, I've found that it's actually like slower to load the photos and do the edits. So I would just wait until they're built. And then what it's going to allow us to do is unplug this hard drive. And we don't need to have that big hard drive anymore or any external hard drive to edit the photos. So that's where the smart previews magic comes into play. I've also found that if I'm editing the photos, you know, from this hard drive plugged in, it's just not as fast as building the smart previews, disconnecting this hard drive, and then editing. It just seems to be a lot faster when I do that, and I just have the catalog living on my desktop. So that's it. You're gonna let it load, and then we will be ready to start editing.